All right, so welcome to the Card Diary by Hobby S. Thompson. I'm your host, Any Cards. I don't even know what episode number it is. I've been doing a bunch of monologue episodes. I've had some good guests come on, and today is no other than the Prizm Goddess herself. I am so glad to have her on. We are definitely going to be talking about the big show that's coming up very soon in Culture Collision in Atlanta. But before that, I wanted to kind of dive in and get to know her more and have the audience get to know her as well. And she is one of the better half of the duo because Prism God is the other half of the promotion team for Culture Collision. So welcome to the podcast, Prism Goddess.
Thank you. Hello, everyone.
I love it. I could immediately. I know the people who are listening to podcasts wouldn't see this, but the people on YouTube will see it. But you just like kind of did this thing with your hands, like you're very expressive. From when I talked to you on the phone, you are very kind of like effervescent, and you're very kind of like I don't know. You have like a good spirit.
Well, I appreciate that. And I tried to. Oh, I guess I can't even say I really tried to. It's just me naturally. So, but yeah, I am very expressive and I do talk with my hands. So if you see a lot of this going on, I apologize in advance.
Oh, I love it. It's great. It's great. So, I mean, let's talk about like your journey up to this point, and then we can definitely get into Culture Collision and kind of like the nitty gritty. But like, I mean, how what's your relationship with the cards, collectibles? Because I know Culture Collision is just not just about cards, but it's about an experience. It's about the collectible space as well.
Yes, absolutely. My journey has been, oh my gosh, a crazy one. I would say I got into this, and I didn't even know that cards was a thing until I got with Raphael. And when we were dating, I noticed like a lot of the deals that he was making, and he'll buy a card for $2,000 and then go get it graded, and then he's selling it for like 10, 15,000. I'm like, wait a minute, what's really going on here? So through watching him and learning, I mean, and the best teacher I would say that I could ever have in this industry is just him. But I've learned so much about the card world. I've learned about grading. I mean, and when it comes to collecting, I was already a collector of sneakers, definitely a sneakerhead. And then I found myself kind of diving into collecting cards. I tried to be a reseller. That really isn't my thing. Like the hustle and bustle that comes along with that, my brain, it's not there. It's just not there for me. So I do collect things that I like. I do have, some high-end cards in my collection from when I was trying to, during the boom when COVID happened, was trying to resell, you know, had some bad deals, lost out on some money, but now I just I'm more or less a collector and I collect the things that I like. So the kind of things that I like are, music CDs. I get them graded through AMG, Black artists. I have, I'm drawing a blank right now, but Jamie Foxx cards and Sierra cards, and I just a bunch of different things. I like to collect pieces of history and things that are important to me, but also African American related.
I love it. I love it. So, from an athlete standpoint or sports, like what's your favorite sport, and who are your favorite players to PC?
Well, I will say this. I'm not necessarily 100% a sports fan, but when I got into this, I was all about Zion. Like, I really didn't start to watch basketball until I got into, into the card game. And then I had to understand that in order to really understand the value of a card, you have to understand the stats of a player, what's going on with that player, how are they doing, where are they going, and the hype that's built around them, because that can also affect the price of the card. So during that time, I was definitely a Zion fan. As far as now, it's, I'm more or less like LeBron, but I really don't keep up with it. Where I find my space in this hobby is doing the card show, making sure that it's as fabulous as possible. And then I just like to find pieces that, I like, that are like artists, music, not necessarily sports. But I mean, in my collection, the best cards I kind of have are LeBron, though.
Gotcha. Oh yeah, I imagine they fetch a pretty penny. I
Yeah.
remember Prism God recently. He picked up like a Jay-Z, I think, or something like that, and just some amazing pop culture or non-sports cards.
Yes, 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 yes. He's a really big Jay-Z collector, which he has been letting go of some of those things. Um, but yeah, the pop culture aspect of it is more where I fit in, not so much as sports, unless we're
Yeah.
talking about finance, because I still
No,
like.
that's great. I mean, it takes, the hobby is such a large umbrella and there is so much that goes underneath it. And all the, pop culture cards are definitely having not just like a moment, like it's having a wonderful, I think people just want more of them. It's just that you have to
Yeah,
find, you got to go to Leaf, you got to go to like, non-license, or you got to find this old stuff. Like the Jay-Z stuff is like so old. They had it in Topps Chrome a while back. And so, his stuff is pretty rare because he's not being pumped out every year. Like, LeBron has cards every single year since 2003,
hmm,
whereas Jay-Z, you're like, oh, you're limited to like, I don't know, like 3-4 years, something like that.
yeah.
So
You got to scrape the finals things. That's for sure.
yeah, yeah, and those cards, I don't know if you would agree. I mean, it seems like, with Prizm got slowly trying to let go of his collection. Like, they usually end up in the hands of like forever homes, like
Yes,
the end collector. They don't
yes.
want to give up. They don't want to give up their rare Jay-Z card, so they rarely pop up in public sales. They rarely pop up in private deals, right?
Yes, you're absolutely right. And the collection that he has built up is absolutely amazing. And I mean, I wish Beyonce had cars like that, because I would
Oh,
definitely collect all of her pieces if she had
I
them.
can only imagine. I mean, yeah, I know recently the curator had like Blackpink and from Oreo packs. He graded those.
Hmm.
I know there's that polarizing. I mean, there's some people who don't like Taylor Swift, but there are people who love Taylor Swift and want her autograph. People joke about the dual auto with her and Travis Kelce. I mean, this is mainstream America, and I can only imagine when we talk about increasing the hobby, there's that sports side and then the non-sports side, because there are people who their entry point into sports is pop culture.
Yes, and that is what Culture Collision is about. It's just like, just a place where all the genres can come together and, buy, sell, trade, and, see some amazing things. And, it doesn't have to be all about the sports aspect of it, because collectibles, they range in, every different aspect. So it's pretty cool. Like, just being a part of this and being a part of this hobby and being a part of the journey, it's been one heck of a learning experience. And I'm just excited to see where it goes from here.
Yeah, I am too. So
Yeah.
let's dive into Culture Collision, and maybe near the end of the recording, I'll kind of get into who was Prizm Goddess, who was Prizm Princess before Prizm Goddess. We'll start with that. But
Okay.
the recent news that came out, by the time I publish this, I mean the news has already been out. But basically, I am very proud to be a media ambassador for Culture Collision, right? And
Yay.
I'm part of the team. I'm part of the social media team. I can't wait to just record, just press record and just capture moments. I just want to, I think I have a very, um, I, I don't know how to explain it, but like, I just go where the wind takes me with content. Like, I don't plan things out. I just kind of go where someone asks me to be there, or I find something. It's just things that happen to me at shows is completely random sometimes. And it's such a happy coincidence sometimes where things happen. But certainly with being part of your team, if you need me somewhere, I'll be there and we'll shoot some fun content. But I guess the reason I bring that up is I'm just excited to just be on the show floor. It'll be my first time in Atlanta in like maybe 12, 15 years.
Oh my
Um, I
gosh.
know it's been too long, but it'll be my, my regional show Chantilly. That's like 45 minutes away from me driving. So, and I've been to National, I've been to Fanatics Fest. So I'm used to kind of like that big, convention center atmosphere. But
Mhm.
Culture Collision, I imagine, is going to be different in so many great ways. So, what would you say is that that leads to the question of what's the differentiating factor of Culture Collision compared to the other regional shows I mentioned, including like Dallas Card Show in Burbank?
Well, I mean, when it's all said and done, we wanted to create more of an experience. When I first got into this card industry, I would travel to shows with Raphael, and I'm not even gonna lie, like I would be bored out of my mind, like literally just sitting there bored out of my mind. And he wouldn't be bored, because of course he's doing deals and things of that nature. And I mean, when we talked about it, it was kind of towards the end of the big boom, and I just kind of advised Raphael that he should definitely do something different in this hobby. And, you know, it was the options that I suggested was either doing a card shop or a card show. And so the show aspect was what he chose that he wanted to do. And I mean, you know, when we sat down and we talked about like what he envisioned for a show, you know, it was just more or less creating a really, really fun experience for our attendees. So, you know, having things for the kids to do, having things, making sure that the sponsors who participate in our show have some kind of interactive activity to do with the customers, because I mean, it's all about connecting our vendors and our sponsors with the customers, but making it, you know, a little bit more exciting and a little bit more fun for our attendees as well. So, you know, that's what makes our show a little bit different. You know, we have the stage, we have the discussion panels that take place. We have the sponsor hunt activity. We have the 3v3 game. We have the 3-point contest. We have the sneaker contest. There's just so many different things that are fun that's going to take place at the show. And that's what makes it different is, you know, the experience that our guests are going to have when they come. So on top of being able to see all of your wonderful friends that you see at every single show, you know, the people who come, you know, they have a great time, and, you know, there's more things to do. So
I love it. I love it. So I'm not a sneakerhead, but I am a hoop head. I've loved basketball. It's my, you know, hobby, cards related and just like sports related. It's my number one sport. And I I'm gonna probably say I've my knees and back can't handle 3-on-3 or anything like that. But I'm excited to run content. I'm excited to like record people playing and kind of, you know, I was waiting for you to say the basketball game because I'm really excited to just kind of see people. You know, one of my favorite things is when you do play pickup is you could never have played with someone ever. And if you guys just mesh that chemistry, you're all of a sudden you guys are making passes to each other that are like telegraphic. And I love that feeling. It's such a great feeling because it's like here's a complete stranger and you're just able to connect with them through the game of basketball. And you know, it's probably one of the most I don't know, like egalitarian sports because of that in soccer, because you don't really need a team. Baseball, you need you know, 21 other players to play the position fields or whatever. You need for football, you know, you need the pads, you need the equipment, you need to like get the helmets, and you got to get the teams together. But like when it comes to baseball, I mean, when it comes to basketball and soccer, it's like, okay, even if you don't have a hoop, just, you know, just dribbling around. Soccer, just same thing, just ball handling. That's what I love. That's what I love about those two sports, I think.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome. I mean, I haven't gotten on the court myself just yet, but it's coming.
Well, how about you, me, and one other person, and we can kind of play another like, you know, like I used to play intramurals co-ed, right? It's like the guys they couldn't go into the paint. They could like hang out in the 3-point area and a little bit in like the wing area, but the ladies are the ones who could go into the paint. So if you had like a, you know, really strong rebounding, really good interior, you know, a girl on your team, like I remember the guys just didn't really have to do anything. You just pass the ball into them. So,
yeah.
you know,
it would be nice, but I also want to make sure that like there's an understanding, because there's a difference between the card star game and the 3v3 game. So we do the 3v3 game a little bit different. Before it was like where we had all these people and, you know, it would be randomized, you know, as far as like who your team would be. But now we allow people to actually choose the players that they want on their team. So last year's game was the first, you know, time that we had did it like that, and it got really serious, man. Like those players was like it was definitely a sight to see. And then for the card star game, that happens once a year at OTE, and this is where you're kind of like voted in to be a player. So it's a little bit more randomized, but you know, either game is super duper exciting, and, you know, people take it seriously. So I can't wait to see this game as well.
For the folks who are unfamiliar, OTE is Overtime Elite, and there's a separate arena that's kind of like a G League type of thing, right? And there's like stadium seating, but there's like an East and West team, and then so if I can run content for that, or if I can just kind of be a water boy, I think
okay, we'll keep you in mind for that.
So the 3-on-3 game though, so there is a prize for the winning team. Is there an
Yes.
entry fee for
The
people
entry
to
fee
enter?
is $1,000 per team, and
How
the
much?
cash out prize is $1,000 per team.
Okay.
So I believe you need to have 4 players. One is going to be an
Right.
alternate.
Right.
And so, everyone registers their team at one time. And then at the end of the game, whoever is the finishing person, $5,000 check is what they take home. So,
Um,
it's a good gamble. It's a good game.
That's serious. I mean, for people who played like D3 or even D1, like like I can imagine the competition is going to be fierce because that we're not playing for just pride. We're playing for some money, some
Yes.
coin that'll likely go straight into the trade show, into the card area. But um, wow, so how many teams have entered in the past? Like, is this kind of like a round robin, like point system,
So
like how
we allow 18 teams.
18?
And yeah, and then they play Friday and they also play on Saturday if there's if the game hasn't ended by then. But like I'm not even gonna lie, like the game ended so fast last year. I was shocked. I mean, he called me, he was like, bring the MVP chain. I'm like, it's
Yeah.
over already. Like the team was cold. The team was cold.
Oh
But yeah,
man.
I mean, it's just 18 teams, so there still is some spots available. So
Mhm.
get your team together. Let's
Yeah.
go. Let's play for the cash. Get ready.
Yeah, yeah. If anyone listening is getting ready, getting a team together, I can't be on your team because I need to get my health in order first before I get my game,
Okay.
get the team in order. But I would be glad to be the person who kind of brings people together. If you want to go and be on a team, and there's like 3 people who tell me I don't have someone to be on a team with, I'll connect the 3 of you. You know what I mean? Or the 4.
Okay,
I'd be glad
that's
to
good.
do that.
So if y'all
Yeah, no,
listen, when you're
absolutely.
trying to put a team together, hit up Denny and he'll hook you up.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I'll take no cut. I'm just gonna. I love bringing people together. That's one of my big
Yeah.
things is in and out of the hobby. I love, connecting people and just kind of like, I'm not doing it for any middleman service or any cut. I just love bringing people together because whenever I do that, I just feel like almost like a friend matchmaker.
Yeah.
So
That works.
yeah, so you got the basketball game. You got before we get to the cards, I want to say for the culture aspect, you have the sneakers. You have, I think, do you have some people selling like jerseys and like memorabilia and things like that
Yes,
too?
we do have people selling art, memorabilia. I mean, we have people selling like sneaker candles and jewelry and
Mhm.
sunglasses. I think I saw some socks last year. So, I mean, there's just so many different kind of vendors. And I love that aspect of it too, because you see some things that you normally wouldn't see at your typical card show. And, I think when you have different items, it brings different kind of people who wouldn't normally be into cards. So maybe they're
Mhm.
coming for their particular vendor, and then they see the cards there, and then now we've sparked a new collector. And that's one of the main objectives as well, is creating new collectors, because the times are changing, and
So I will say, when you sent me a lot of raw footage from last year's Culture Collision, and I saw those sneaker candles, like
yeah,
my wife doesn't know it.
cool.
I am definitely bringing back. She loves candles, right? I mean, we're
Yeah.
like a Yankee candle family, and we got all these Yankee candles. And I'm like, you know what? As soon as I saw those candles, I'm like, sometimes you go on a trip and you bring something back for the family and stuff. I'm bringing back a sneaker candle. I
Yeah, and they
have to.
smell so good. Oh, they smell so good. So definitely
Yeah.
bring it too, okay?
Yeah, yeah, bring our yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, you got the sneaker candle. So, I guess the other thing I wanted to ask with regards to like the stuff that's not cards, just to make sure we cover all of that before we get into like the card show and the number of tables and all that stuff. When it comes to the is it like really when we talk about sneaker candle 3-on-3, it seems like there's a lot of basketball heavy like influences. Are there other sport type of things, or is it more for like hoop heads, quote unquote?
Well, I would say, as far as like the activities that we put together, of course, with us having a basketball court, we did want to, focus on basketball items. I mean, basketball things and activities. However, when you walk through the room, there's a variety of everything, and there's something for everybody. Like I get questions about whether or not vintage cards will be there. They're there. There's football stuff. There's football helmets, football jerseys.
Wow.
people who sell baseball cards. I mean, like, it's just a big melting pot full of everything. So no matter what it is that you collect, I'm sure that you will be able to find your next item at Culture Collision. There's a little
Gotcha.
bit of everything there. So
Yeah.
it's just not limited to basketball, or, you know, the activities are, because of course we got the court there.
Right.
But as far as like vendors, they have a mixture of everything.
Yeah, I admire those memorabilia, autographed helmet folks and the autographed baseball folks, because that's got to
Yes.
be. I mean, cards are, we always complain about the heavy Zion case or like you got to
Yes.
lug it, but these folks, they drive in like U-Hauls,
Oh
and
my
like,
gosh.
just the size of one helmet is like the size of one of those small Zion cases. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, imagine having like 100 of those.
And they have to move all that stuff in and then move it
Yeah.
all out. So yeah, shout out to all the memorabilia people, because
Yeah.
I know it's a lie. And then we have, a vendor that just sells artwork and things of that nature. But yeah, just bringing it in and bringing it out.
Yeah.
All the vendors. It's a lot of work, and
Yeah.
they do it every weekend though. So
That's true. Yeah, it's like a traveling.
Yeah.
They travel everywhere, and it's
Yep.
it's really admirable what they do. So I mean, they
Mhm.
really make they're the vendors. Like they're the ones who put out their stuff, and they just want people to, make some sales and make it worth their time and their energy for being there. So
Absolutely.
thank you to all the
Shout out to
vendors.
vendors. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. Shout out to all the vendors. I mean, we owe a lot of our success to y'all, and we couldn't do it without you. So, I'm very grateful to have every single participant that
yeah,
registers as a vendor at our show. We're very grateful for you. So yeah,
yeah.
shout out
No,
to the vendors.
absolutely. So speaking about the vendors, how many tables is this show going to be? And I know there's a lot of, one 300 table show is not the same as another 300 table show, because my understanding is you have like 6 foot by 3 foot tables, you got 8 foot by 3 foot tables, also have all that aisle space in between. Like what I really liked about Fanatics Fest, so I heard that they did not have all the tables that they wanted to get, so they actually made the aisles a lot larger. So
Mm.
I've been to 300 table shows. I haven't talked about this much yet on the podcast, but when I went to the East Coast National, then the aisles are very narrow. So if you had a backpack on, you were bumping into people.
Mm.
But at Fanatics Fest, you weren't bumping into people. It was like maybe even double or even triple the size in between the tables, like in the aisles. And then you also have that space behind the dealer table where you got the chair. So I've set up as a dealer where I felt so cramped. I felt like I couldn't move. And then other shows where I set up, they give everyone like one of those like executive desk chairs that swivel around, and you're just like comfortable.
Nice.
And you could like wheel back and all that. So
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to talk about like what's like the square footage, like how many tables are there, what's the size of the tables?
Okay, so the tables are 3x8, and I totally know what you mean by sometimes the sections are too small. When we first went to the bigger venue, like that was us. Like there was like barely any space for our vendors to be. So, I will say that every single time we do a show, learn from it, take notes, and we do things to make sure that it's better. But we have 3x8 foot tables, and then they're sectioned off where it's 2 on the end, and then you have the rows, and then there's a little space for people to go in and out of who are actually the vendors. Our aisleways are about 8 feet. We have about 550 tables. And I mean, we try to utilize all the space as best as possible while making sure that people are comfortable. So I know for January, we might switch up on the layout. We're still discussing it, still finalizing some things. But yeah, that's what we have for this show. So if you came last year, then it's pretty similar to what was there last year.
Gotcha. When you said bigger venue, did you guys go? Because right now, the one that's going to be happening in like a week is going to be at the Cobb Galleria.
Galleria.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Were you somewhere before that?
Yes, absolutely. Our very first show took place at the Renaissance Waverly. And so it was like not even half the size of one of the halls of Cobb Galleria. We had like 250, 300 tables maybe. And it was a good first show, but it's nothing compared to what we've created at Cobb Galleria. It's nothing, but it was a great first show. And after that show, Raphael was like, "Let's go bigger," and I'm like,
"Bigger." I love it.
Are you sure? Like, are you sure you want
He's got a lot of ambition, and I love it. So
Yeah.
Renaissance, I haven't Googled this at all, but Renaissance Wayfair, is that like a hotel ballroom? And
Yeah,
then
yeah. Renaissance Waverly is the
Waverly.
hotel that's actually connected to Cobb Galleria.
Ah,
The hotel that we're using this year is the Sheraton, and there's a walkway that takes you from the Sheraton directly to the venue. But this is directly connected to it. So our very first show, like literally, it was go up the stairs and the show was right there. But
wow.
for what we wanted to do for the very next show, like they didn't have the space for us. So we moved on to Cobb Galleria, and we've been there for about 3 years now.
Nice. And Cobb Galleria, for some reason, like I think it's maybe because there's like a Tyson's Galleria near my area in Tyson's Corner, Virginia. But is that like a mall or like is it a convention center? Like what is
It's a
the Cobb
convention
Galleria?
center, but at the lower level, there is a mall and like stores and restaurants and things of that nature. So it's a really big, very nice, popular venue. It's also near the Brave stadiums where you'll find a lot of
Really?
restaurants. It's literally right across the street from Cumberland Mall. So there's a lot of different things for people to do outside of the show as well.
So my understanding is Cards HQ is near Truist Park as well, where the Braves play. So that's all within like a not walking distance, but driving distance, maybe.
So Cards HQ is definitely within driving distance. It's not right there near the Brave State. I would say it's maybe about like a 7 to 8 minute drive.
Okay, yeah, that's great. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's not
7 to 8 minute
far. Yeah,
drive. And so when people come into the Cobb Galleria, there's like a parking garage, like that's how they drive in, and then they do all that.
yeah, so there's several parking garages that are right outside the main entrance is where people will park, and then of course our vendors, they'll have to go to the docks to do their unloading. But
Nice.
as far as attendees, there's plenty of parking in those docks, and the parking is $10, I believe.
Okay, $10 for the whole day. Awesome.
Mhm.
Okay. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, there's
Mhm.
general admission, 1 day passes, 3 day passes, and then VIP, right? Something like
Yes,
that.
yes.
Um, let's talk if you can kind of explain what would the VIP ticket get you?
So the VIP ticket is 150. It's going to get you early entry all 3 days. It's also going to give you our gift bag where we have a lot of exclusive items that come from Culture Collision and also all of our sponsors. They'll be getting that. They'll also get a customized badge, and as you know, the card art carver. Oh my gosh, I believe
Tommy,
I'm saying
shout
his
out
name.
Tommy, card
Yeah,
carver.
Tommy. Okay, we'll say Tommy. But
Yeah,
he created some really, really cool artwork, and those cards are going to be sold at Culture Collision as well. But they get the customized badge, and then they also get automatic entry to the our trade night that's taking place at the Sheraton, and they'll have access to some drinks and food. So all of that is included in that VIP ticket.
nice. So you talk about drinks and food. I like to jokingly. I know some people may get upset about it, but I like to say I'm the hungriest man in the hobby because I love food. So when it comes to the food, you talked about like the mall food options
Mhm,
underneath the convention center area. So you have food and drink options with the trade night, which is going to be,
mhm,
you said, at the Sheraton, which is the connecting hotel,
mhm.
right?
Yes.
And then you said there's a lot of food options around the area. I know Prizm Gawdess told me there's some good Korean and Vietnamese pho in that area as
He
well.
probably told you about Korean barbecue. That's a new
Yeah.
restaurant that's in the Cobb area. But yeah, their food is really good. But there's
Yes.
so many like food options out there. It's not even funny. But like literally in the venue, you have a couple restaurants downstairs, and then there's also I know Chick-fil-A sets up outside, and then there's also the food concession stands. There's two of them inside the venue as well. But I mean, if you like food, coming to
Yes.
Atlanta, you plenty of different
Woo.
options to
All
choose from.
right. Well, I mean, I know Chick-fil-A is from the Georgia area. Like, it's like that's the home base or things like that. So you can't get it on Sunday. You got to get your
That's
Chick-fil-A on
right.
Friday
Won't
and
get it on
Saturday.
Sunday.
So, all right. So I think we've covered a lot of fun things: trade night, food, drink, vendors, and all that. So the cards, which that's the most important thing, and I love the cards aspect. You said there's going to be a variety. I mean, my concern, having never been to the show, I was wondering if there's going to be more of a bend towards modern and ultra modern versus vintage, but you are saying there is going to be vintage options for folks.
Yes, absolutely. And again, just a reminder, Culture Collision is for everyone. So, I mean, there's a lot of vintage vendors as well as the new age vendors, for the new cards as well. So, I mean, I would say maybe 70% of the show is literally, cards. And I mean, again, there's literally something for everybody, even down to Pokemon and, just all sorts of different things.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah, so
TCG.
the majority of it is still sports cards. It's sports cards with a twist because we add other things to it and, the other activities as well.
Yeah, I'm sure you don't have like a statistical breakdown of this, but like there's some shows where I feel like there's a lot more kids in it than others. Like, I mean, Fanatics Fest definitely what is different because it was like card show attached to like the family friendly experience and all that stuff. So there
Hmm.
were a ton of kids around everywhere. But I will very much admit I've been to some hotel basement local card shows with no AC, and there's
No.
like it's just maybe there's like a few kids, but it's mostly just kind of like people 30 and above just kind of looking at each other's stuff and like it's kind of like the old school you know way of having a card show, which I know this isn't going to be like the like in a dingy basement, nothing against those shows, but like I wonder if this is going to be like what general rough estimate would you say like there kids coming to the show as well?
I mean, we get a lot of kids, and again, we're all about creating new collectors. So we do cater to the kids. Our kids are, they enter free, and I would say, oh gosh, it's 10, 15, 20%
Yeah.
of
Okay.
attendees are children. If
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a good rough estimate. But we want the kids to come. We want them to come out and
Mhm.
have a good time with their dads and their family and stuff. And it's a family oriented event. So we're all about having the kids come, and we give away a lot of good stuff for the kids as well. So
Yeah.
anyone watching this, bring the kids. It's appropriate,
Bring the kids.
and it doesn't get hot. We never have any air conditioning. I know I've been to some card shows and like you walk in there, it smells like the locker
Musty.
room. Yeah,
Yeah, it
and it's
smells like a locker room.
yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh! I
yeah.
mean,
I hate that
you know,
smell too. But
I'm joking about like those small shows. The largest card show in the world last
yeah,
year in Rosemont had an AC issue, and it was
yeah,
really sweltering. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
it was
Smells.
like it was an issue. I mean, it
Yeah,
wasn't just like a discomfort thing. Like, I mean, people were, because they were selling some beer and alcohol and all that, and like you had to stay hydrated to
that's for
stand up. I
sure.
mean, really, because at that point, it's like a health issue where it's like, man, if you're drinking and in this sweaty area, it's like being at it's kind of being at like a baseball game for like 9 hours, and like that's you got to stay hydrated. So,
Yeah, that's for sure,
um,
and that's unfortunate. But Culture
yeah,
Collision, we never had Cobb Galleria. Thank God, we never had any air
easy,
conditioning issues.
good, good.
So it stays cool in there. So they got that thing working pretty good.
At what age are kids in for free? Because I
um,
know
yeah, up to
they could
12.
vary. Under 12, okay.
Yep, 12 and under. Hmm.
Some of these kids, Prizm Gawdess, I gotta say, they have better collections than I will probably ever have in my life.
I
I feel
agree.
like there's like two categories of kids in the hobby. There's kids in the hobby, and then there's kids in the hobby. Like
Yeah.
some of these kids are cooking adults, and they are
Yes.
just like, being all like, oh, Mister, can you spare? And it's like, no, you literally have the Zion rows are more than all of my cards combined in one card.
Yeah.
And then you have the kids who are like, "Oh my gosh, you're giving away free base cards. Thank you."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Exactly.
I have, I have cards in top loaders that are like, dollar cards, and they make me happy, right?
Yeah.
And so you got those kids.
Yeah. Yeah, and
So
it's a mixture, but yeah, I mean, I would say the kids are getting it. Like, I mean, the ones
yeah,
who really, really hone in on their craft, they learn about, the art of making a deal, and they're trading and they're selling. Like, they're really getting it. And I mean,
yeah,
I just wish that this was something I learned about when I was a kid, because I mean, it's crazy,
yeah. No,
a kid
I wish that.
$20,
I mean,
$30,000. Like, what?
right. No, seriously. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then, I made a joke online where I'm like, how many lawns did this kid have to mow to get this Zion case? Because
yeah,
it is packed.
yeah,
But no, I mean, I feel like, we all have beginnings. We all have to start somewhere. And I would love if there were more kid collectors. I know we've gotten away from set collecting and I know there's more like rainbow collecting, but I would love it if, kids actually, instead of like flipping so much, like actually collected the cards and like try to make sets or little insert sets. Cause maybe it's wishful thinking, but I just feel like that's what I learned as a kid is like kind of like that discipline. You can't always get what you want. You got to like work at it little by little by little and like finally get that sense of accomplishment when you complete the whole thing.
Yeah, and those kids are there. It's just they're not talked about because they're not the ones that's making the money. It's like whoever's making the money, those are the kids that are being talked about. But there are
Right.
kids who have to start off from the beginning and work their way up, and
Yeah.
they're building collections, and they're doing a good job, and they'll get to that point. Or maybe they're just simply collectors and they love the card for what it is, and they're not necessarily thinking about the dollar, but they are definitely there. They're here, so
Awesome.
they're just not talked about that often. But shout out to those kids as well.
Absolutely. I don't know. I mean, I look at my podcast demographics and I see like there's no one under the age of 18 who listen to podcasts. They're all watching YouTube. But I will simulcast this on YouTube for the video and the audio. So, I hope people watch it.
Yeah.
Thank you for those who do. Please subscribe and all that to have awesome guests like Prizm Gawdess, because this has been such a fantastic conversation. I did want to talk about maybe a little bit of like the admission. Again, I know people, it's all on the website. People can look at it, but kids under 12 are free. And then on the other end, we talked about VIP, which is 150 for the 3 days entry with early, which by the way, before we get to like how much it costs for general admission for 1 day, I have always said that there should be FOTL should be what it's called for early entry. First off the line. Doesn't that make sense? Like, why do they call it FOTL? Like, is Panini going to get, I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's an issue with some sort of a trademark or brand, but I just think it makes a lot of sense for these shows to be like, first off the line entry, early entry. What do you think?
I like that. I never thought about that, but I like it.
I always get these random ideas in my head, so I don't know.
Yeah, they're good.
So general admission for 1 day for anyone over the age of 12, how much is a ticket for 1 day?
$25.
$25. And the 3-day pass is?
The 3-day pass for early access is $50.
Okay, so 25, 50, and 150, and that 150 gets you a goodie bag with sponsor stuff, card art stuff from Tommy the Card Carver, who's very talented and awesome. I love the card art community. I can't wait to see some of that. I mean, I don't know. I feel like some cities or some areas of the country are just so much more creative than others.
Yeah.
I mean, I live in the Washington, D.C. area. I mean, I'm sure, like, I hope people in the D.C. area don't, hate me for saying it so much, but the creative area, I feel like, yes, we have the Smithsonian's, we have the museums and all this cool stuff, but I feel like because so much of it is like government and political, like there isn't a lot of like freedom of expression through art form. And so when I think about Atlanta, you got the music, the art, the kind of like, I don't know, some like vibrance. I feel like, definitely California, definitely New York and all this. And then, nothing against other areas of the country, but I just feel like Atlanta's, and of course people are traveling, like Tommy the Card Carver is not from Atlanta, but he's going to be coming and he's going to be showcasing his stuff. And like, I'm just really excited to see that part.
Yeah, for sure. But that's what those tickets are. And to me, you get the better deal if you know that you're going to be there all 3 days. Why not get that early access? And you save money in the long run. So why not?
Right.
But those are the tickets, and we just look forward to seeing everybody. I mean, it's an exciting time, and as an event coordinator planner, we work hard all these months, and then it's just like when you see it all put together. I mean, it's very, very rewarding. I remember like last year, just to see the line of people waiting to get in. I swear I almost drew a tear. It was amazing. It was amazing. But I'm very, very excited for this show and the many more shows that we have to come.
I'm going to get you out on 2 questions then. The first being, how many people came to the last one and how many are expecting this in a week from now? And then secondly, do you get to enjoy it? Like, do you actually get to enjoy the actual show?
I enjoy it from an aspect of making sure that everything runs smoothly. That's really, really important to me, and I take pride in that. But yeah, I do get to walk around and say hi to people, and you probably see me zooming through, the aisles and things of that nature. But yeah, I do get a chance to enjoy it here and there throughout the duration of the show. But my job is to make sure that everything runs smoothly, and I do it very well.
And safely and all that, right? Yeah,
Safely.
logistics.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
So how many people came through the door, or like, head
So
count?
it was about 14,000 people that came through the doors over the course of the weekend last year. This year, I anticipated to be even more. I do know that we have a couple other things that are taking place. I know there's like a Minnesota show that's taking place the same time during our show.
Okay.
But I still anticipate a lot of attendees. And, that's really, really what I focus on, as well as just making sure that, our vendors have people, who are looking to buy their stuff. So, it's going to be a great show, and I'm just excited. I'm really excited to see
Yeah.
it out here.
I just feel like Minnesota maybe a little bit too far to be like a direct competition. I know people travel to it, and I know they have a great state fair with some amazing cookies at the state fair, but my my body, soul, and heart is going to be in Atlanta.
Yeah.
September. I don't have the actual dates, but it's going to be Friday to Sunday. Let
Friday
me look.
the 13th through the 15th.
Oh, what am I saying? It's right on your shirt. Friday the 13th. I love the brand.
Exactly. Friday the
I gotta.
13th.
Do you guys have hats? I'm sorry, I said last question, but do you guys have hats? Because I definitely want a t-shirt and hat.
Yes. So Prizm God did create some really, really cool, awesome, exclusive hats that'll only be sold at Culture Collision. So yeah,
I love it.
definitely get those, and we got some t-shirts for you. Okay, don't
I'm
worry.
all about the hats. I wear many hats in the hobby, and podcasting.
Okay, so you're a hat collector. How many hats do you have?
Gosh. Yeah, no, it's been an absolute pleasure. I love when I have amazing, fun, effervescent guests like you. Thank you so much for your time. I can't wait to see you in person again next week. Again, tickets, Culture Collision. What's the website again?
CultureCollisionTradeShow.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Prizm Gawdess. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon.
All right, you're welcome. See you all at Culture Collision.
Take care.
Bye.